Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where we interview location-independent entrepreneurs that travel the world like a boss by being their own boss. Here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, this is Johnny and welcome to episode 184 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Date with Destiny and Tony Robbins. I just got done with it. I'm sitting here with my roommate, Michael Brazil.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, doing well. So you want to start it off on actually how we met and where you're from?
Absolutely. So we first met at our actual room that we were sharing. It was pretty surreal. Johnny reached out on our Facebook group, the Date with Destiny Facebook group, saying, looking for a roommate to experience this with. I happened to see it while I was in Norway.
You're in Norway?
Yeah.
What were you doing in Norway?
I was visiting family, have like 4 generations of family there, and having a great time, having some cabbage and lamb for the first time was a great experience. But anyways, yeah, I saw that he reached out there and I thought, what an awesome idea. And so followed up.
So what had happened for everyone who's didn't listen to the last episode 182 where I talked about the journey to Date with Destiny. I was living on the Canary Islands. I signed up for Date with Destiny, which is in Florida, which we are both in now. And I didn't want to spend $175 a night on a hotel room. So I was like, you know what? It might be fun to have a roommate that's also going to the event. We can share the room, split the cost, and we can share taxis and just have somebody to chat with afterwards. So I posted in the private Facebook group for people who are signed up for Tony Robbins' event. And if you guys aren't familiar with it for some reason, Tony Robbins has a documentary out on HBO called I'm Not Your Guru.
Netflix.
Oh, sorry. On Netflix. Thank you for that. And that's what got me to come. Actually, how did you hear about it? Why did you sign up?
I'm Not Your Guru was definitely a big reason why I signed up. I also done quite a few different programs for Tony, but they were just like audiobooks, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'm Not Your Guru was just a phenomenal thing to watch and definitely was a catalyst for it.
Very cool. So we're going to talk about how, if the Date with Destiny live event lived up to that movie, because it's a movie. I mean, that movie is edited to, just show the highlights. It's almost like, did the movie match the highlight reel promo to get you to the cinema? And before we actually dive all the way into it, was it worth it?
Hell yeah, it was worth it. It was, I mean, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I mean, it's fucking surreal. It was more than I could have actually imagined and much more than the actual documentary, I thought.
I actually felt like we were in the documentary live.
Yeah.
It was so weird where like you're there and you see these fucking life-changing transformations where somebody is so unhappy with their life that they are literally suicidal. And in front of your fucking eyes, live, unscripted, and raw.
Yep. Tony
Robbins, picks on them and says, what's going on in your life? And they have had traumas. I mean, it makes whatever difficulties we've had in our life seem like nothing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes, I think the difference between the documentary and real life is in the documentary, it takes 5 minutes to change one's life because they're just kind of cutting through it.
Yep.
You get a taste of
editing.
it. Yep. But here they spend 2 to 3 hours sometimes on one person, and you're sitting there live watching them transform. And this is someone that you might have met on the way to the bathroom earlier in the day, and this is a 1 week long event. So there's a big chance that you actually, have hugged the person or you talked to them, you had a coffee with them, and you just get to know them as a real person, either before or after.
And diving into their life, literally diving into what some people would call their demons. And it was, I honestly, words are tough, but for anyone that hasn't experienced a Tony Robbins event, and if you want to dive in just like Johnny did, Date with Destiny was your first event, right?
Yeah, this is my first ever event.
Right.
And just to let everyone know, just to be very clear, this isn't a paid endorsement. I'm not even an affiliate for Tony Robbins. I would love it if he had a program. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if they have a referral program. Yeah. And if they do, I'll put it in the show notes. This is episode 184, but I don't even think they have a referral program, maybe for friends and family or something, but this is coming from the heart.
absolute no bullshit. And I mean, just to add on to what you're saying with the actual interventions, when he attacks the problem, realizing what people are actually experiencing and just feeling the sense that your challenges or whatever problems you see in your life, they seem so minuscule.
Dwarfed.
Completely dwarfed.
And probably the best example of that was there was a woman who stood up. I think it was on the first or second day. And she was telling us about, how bad her life was and how many, things happened. And it was, 15 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And traumatic things, bad things. Right. And she kept, Antonio was really patient and, trying to help her get through it, trying to help her move on and, focus on the rest of her life instead of focusing on what happened 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Which I really, really admire Tony for standing up and saying, look, I will kill the motherfucker who did that to you.
Yep.
And it's never right. And that should never happen again to anybody. But now we have to move on because you're just now being the victim or allowing yourself to be the victim every day. You're only hurting yourself.
I don't want to like preach too much about, the experiences that people went through, but realizing that there are choices that we can make, whether we are the victim or what he called the victor, whether you can choose to make this meaning positive as opposed to something that controls you, I just became completely, it just hit me at my core and I went, holy shit. Like so many choices you can make and they can determine everything you do from there. It's a domino effect.
Well, the only reason I even brought that story up was immediately after that, intervention, this other woman stood up and shared her story. And it was basically, a similar traumatic experience that happened also a long time ago. But even before she said anything, you could tell she was joyful and like really free and living life and loving life and just the complete opposite. Like zero negativity.
She was free from it.
She was completely free from it. And she, wanted to help the other woman. She said like, just, let it go. And it was transformational seeing that in person, seeing two people, because honestly, I've always had a lot of empathy for people. And when someone's going through something bad, I'm always the one that's like, oh no, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And we wallow with them.
What can I do to help?
And I didn't realize this, but by making people feel better about feeling bad, it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
And
they keep running the same script.
Yeah.
When you keep them in that place.
And, to be honest, I don't even want to go too much into the actual like techniques or tactics because I'll be underserving it because it's one of those things where there's so much that he did in these 6 days that any one thing we say, you might be like, oh, I've heard of that before. Or, oh, okay, so it was this. But it's not. It's literally from day one, setting up your physiology, making you do uncomfortable things that you don't want to do, like dancing or like, and holy
shit, the dancing. 15 hours of that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the actual schedule. So I haven't checked my messages, WhatsApp, iMessage, Facebook, email, nothing for 7 days now because what's our daily schedule been like?
It is, they don't exactly market it the way it actually is, but for good reason. It's usually start around 10 or 11 a.m.
Which sounds fine. People are like, oh, that's fine. Okay, we can do that.
But then you're on Tony time. And Tony time is pretty much till about 2 or 3 in the morning nonstop. And you have what are called mini meals. So you'll get like some hummus and some crackers and an apple in your seat. And then you're back at it.
So when Michael says it runs straight, he means it runs straight. Like sometimes we're there. Like imagine being on a rock concert at 10:30 in the morning and there are no breaks, like literally zero breaks. There's no breakfast break. There's no lunch break. There's no dinner break. There's no tea break. There's not even a bathroom break. You just have to like run out real quick, do what you got to do, and then just go back in. And it's intense the whole time. It's like full drive the whole time.
The weirdest part is like you have moments where you get tired, but you kind of in a lot of ways, it doesn't feel like 15 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this didn't feel like 6 days.
Agreed. I concur.
Yeah. So it's okay. So the reason why I wanted to make this podcast today is I want to give you guys a taste of the experience, because I know a lot of you, probably most of you listening, weren't able to attend this year.
Yeah.
Maybe, $5,000 seems like a fucking mountain of money to be able to go to a conference, or a seminar.
Yep.
And you guys are like, well, I don't know if it's worth it. I wanted to share the experience with you guys so you can live through vicariously through us, but also maybe help you make a decision whether it's for you or not.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what made you decide to go, Michael?
I'd say the biggest reason I wanted to go was at just whatever you want to call your gut. There's this hunger for another level or for conquering things that have been challenging in the past. And for me, just being completely blunt and honest, because we all have challenges, and I saw that, especially this week. For me, one of the biggest ones has been just getting like irrationally worrying about myself in a lot of ways. You can call it anxiety, whatever, worry. But I wanted to completely move beyond that and take it to another level where I was no longer the victim and I was the victor, to, use that phrase again. And so that was one of the biggest challenges where I was like, I want to take this to the next level. I want to move beyond this. And I also wanted to continue to improve in other ways as well. But that was a big motivating factor.
I like it. And I've already talked about why I decided to go. It's on my blog. I wrote a whole post about it. It's on johnnyft.com. But the reason why I went and what I got out of it actually ended up being very different things.
Yeah.
Did you notice that as well?
I mean, it's really, really hard to not get a lot more out of it than your actual, like, what you plan on is a lot different. I would say it definitely surprised my expectations as to what I thought I was going to get. I definitely moved beyond, the worry and things of that nature, but got a hell of a lot more out of it.
Okay. So that being said, who is this event for? Like, who would you recommend definitely go to this?
Who would I recommend personally, or just?
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to, you don't have to say, call out your cousin or something, but my cousin, Larry, would fucking benefit the shit out of this. His life would transform. He would be happy. He'd be free. He would have loving, genuine relationships and connections. His health would get better. He would just be a happier human being if he went to this. But at the same time, I know the chances of him coming to this are very, very, very little.
Yeah.
And if I pushed it on him, I guarantee you he would not, reject it.
I would say anyone that you care about, that you see having real struggles in their lives, sending them something like this would definitely help.
So the type of people that were there, well, so first off, demographic wise, there's 5,000 people.
Yep.
And it was surprising that it was pretty even, almost 50-50 male and female.
Yep.
Which is very surprising because most self-help seminars are majority women.
Mm-hmm. And
I think one of the reasons why so many men came to this event is because it's not just woo-woo, motivational, spiritual stuff. It's also very pragmatic, very rational, very, tested. And at the end of the day, I think it really appealed to both the men and women, really in different ways, but equally.
I think, especially given what Tony is mostly known for, he's a very masculine guy. And so you can't necessarily imagine it being as much for the male demographic as for women. But I would say for the interventions, especially, he was calling on, I would probably 70% women. And it was coming from just a place of absolute, he's clearly mastered intervention of that nature, but yeah, absolutely balanced in that regard for sure.
Yeah. So the type of people that were there, so, half women, half men, all ages, I would, literally, or young people, or I would say, maybe mid-20s to 50s. It was everything. But there was a 15-year-old girl there that was sent by her aunt because she had tried to commit suicide.
Yep.
All right, anyone in your life, or you, listen to this, if you know anyone who is thinking about suicide, is that depressed, send them to this freaking event. it'll literally change their life.
It's the right culture. It's the right support environment. And the odds of someone being suicidal after that
is zero.
Very, very low.
It's zero because Tony has now had 80 of these events, and each one, on average, he said there's about a dozen, 12 to 15 people who are suicidal.
On average, yeah.
And he hasn't lost anyone in
40 years?
40 years? Yeah.
Since he's been doing this, which is crazy, by the way, for
yeah,
like that kind of stat is crazy.
So aside from that, even if you're on antidepressants,
yeah,
or you think you should be, come to this event. Aside from the people who have a lot of issues, it was very surprising that the other half of people are just people who are super highly motivated, super driven and ambitious. They're just like, all right, I'm rich.
Doing well.
I'm doing well. I have everything.
Let's kick some more ass.
What else is missing? Yeah. Like, what else is there? What's the next level of life? Like, is there something else? And it's crazy because the tickets are freaking expensive. We spent $5,000 for tickets, which is like, to some people are like, you spent how much for a seminar? Yeah. And it's crazy that some people, bitch that the Nomad Summit tickets are, at full price for like 200, bucks. And I'm like, it takes so much work to put in an event, and we're not even trying to make money from it.
Yeah.
And $5,000 seems like an insane amount.
Yeah.
But man, so much goes into this. It's insane.
Hey, by the way, if you're just looking for something like easygoing, like la-di-da personal development shit, like go somewhere else first and just get a feel for that. Cause this is like a hardcore environment. It pushes people in so many ways.
Yeah. Like this is like, Date with Destiny is the most intense immersive program you'll probably ever go to in your life. So who is it not for?
Who is it not for? I would say anyone who is really, really, really uncomfortable doing anything such as talking about their feelings or dancing. I would say it's also for anyone who is not looking to improve themselves in any way. If they're just kind of zenned out, which is totally fine if that's not your gig. But if you're not looking for any kind of like pushing for personal development, definitely don't spend 15 hours of your day for 6 days and then $5,000.
Oh, that's pretty good advice. No, but honestly, I think,
figure, right?
Yeah, I really think because of that price tag, it's self-filtering.
Yeah,
where people who don't want to change, that aren't willing to do everything possible to have a better life, are not going to go. And that's why, even though I would imagine half of the people in that room, including myself, aren't normally comfortable or want to dance all the time and do all these kind of weird exercises and talk about things we don't want to talk about, and bring up, things from our childhood that we don't want to talk about and, even think about. We were all willing to do whatever it took to break through and just become better versions of ourselves.
If someone's on the fence about it, like, what do you think they should ask themselves about whether they should go or not? Like, what would you say they should ask themselves?
The best question someone can ask themselves is, if their life was exactly the same 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, would they be happy or would they have regrets?
Yeah, and even to add on to that, like, what do you want your life to look like 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Yeah, I love that. That's like the higher level of that.
Yeah.
Like for me, like my life's pretty good, and I think, like your life's pretty good. Like, we're fortunate. We have, jobs that we like, we
do well at it.
Yeah. We gotta travel, we gotta enjoy life. But like, I think for us, it was less about, thinking, oh, our lives are terrible and we want to kill ourselves and more about, I don't ever want my life to just be
average.
Yeah, not even average, almost like dead or like
stagnant,
Yeah. And I think so a lot of the people there are actually people who are either in a marriage where there's
relationship day was fascinating.
That was my favorite day. That was my favorite day.
Should we talk about
please
the dancing the dancing exercise?
Yes.
Okay. So pretty much what happened is Tony wanted to do an exercise where he had the women come up on stage first and dance for the men, and then have the men vote on who was the the one that drew the most attention to, or the men found most attractive?
No, I think the word he used was who was most feminine.
Most feminine. And so the women would dance, they would do their thing, and then he would have everyone take a poll. And so what he wanted us to take note of is that the women who were the most feminine, who were the most enjoying it the most, and just seemed to kind of like radiate do you think that's a fair way to put it?
Yeah. You know, and I think he used an example of, what was that, the actress, she's like in her 60s, Glody, I want to say Heidi Klum.
It wasn't Heidi Klum. I know who you're talking about, but it was Kate Hudson's mother?
Yeah, and whatever her name is, you know, imagine, you know, a woman in her late 50s, if not 60s,
Yep.
beautiful. She's like just radiant and alive. And he put up her photo and he said, you know, what men in this room find this woman attractive? And every guy raised their hand, even though, you know, she's like, you know, in her 50s.
Right.
And then he put up a photo of, I think, her daughter.
Yeah, Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson. Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Who, you know, is much younger, also very attractive, but he asked, you know, like who is more feminine, you know, and, you know, who is more beautiful in their own kind of right, you know, and everybody chose a mom. And it was because she was just free. She didn't have tension in her, like, you know, in her life, where it really showed, I think, a lot of the women in the seminar who have been divorced, or they're in their 40s or 50s or 60s even, you know, probably 40s and 50s mostly. But, you know, a lot of them feel like their life is stagnant. They're in a relationship that's unloving. There's no sex. There's no passion.
And they're super self-deprecating about it.
Yeah.
As we all can be.
Yeah. Or they're, you know, divorced, and now they're, you know, a 50-year-old or 40-year-old, you know, divorcee, which isn't even a word we use anymore, but still some people feel like, what's life, you know, what's life about now?
Yeah.
And
so just drawing their attention to that, it's more about where you're coming from a feminine standpoint. Is that the right way to put it? I don't know if that's the right way.
Yeah. That's why,
because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We don't want to butcher it, because it wasn't just like one word. Like, and I think that's what's so hard about
it was like, be fucking genuine about who you are.
It was.
And don't try and prove anything.
Yep. It was like literally 3 hours of talking about how to be authentic and open with freedom, you know, embracing your feminine side, embracing your masculine side, embracing, you know, all the good qualities. And then having, as shown actually on the stage when people were dancing, and he pointed out, and, you know, he basically, you know, this was just a fun thing to make a point, but he had everyone dance. And then he had people clap, you know, to vote, you know, who was the most feminine, who was the most radiant, who was the most beautiful. And then he pointed out, notice that the women who were trying the hardest to get attention didn't get the most votes. Yeah. Even though if they just stood there, maybe that she would have been very attractive. Yeah. And a lot of women just, a light bulb clicked. They're like, oh my God, I don't need, by me, and it's the same for men. Like, the more we try, the worst off it becomes.
Should we talk about when the guys came on stage after?
Oh man, that was great. Yeah, so they did the same exercise now with men. And
should we preface it by saying, has anyone seen the movie Hitch, where he starts dancing for Will Smith and he's doing like the back and forth, like Q-tip, throw it away, next subject. They played that song, the Usher song. And so they were just picture like swarms of men on the stage, like dancing to that song, trying to like, just
trying to be masculine,
and trying to prove themselves.
Attract women. Yeah.
So awesome. Yeah.
So the funniest thing was, did the vote, and then Tony actually just interrupted and mentioned it. He said, first off, real authentic masculine men who are comfortable in their skin don't raise their hands, come on stage to prove how masculine they are. Yeah. Because they already know. Yeah. And that was a huge kind of eye-opening for people. Yeah. And then it was funny seeing how, try hard or just poorly a lot of the guys danced. Yeah. And even funnier is a celebrity in the audience came up and just started dancing as well.
Yeah.
And it was
Usher, baby.
I didn't even realize it was him at first. 'Cause I was like, there's no way that's Usher.
Yeah, you were asking me after. You're like, so who was that like Usher double? I was like, dude, that was Usher.
Because I just saw this guy that was amazing at dancing.
Yeah. You're like, he's crushing it compared to those other guys. He should do that for a living.
And, and that's actually what Tony said. He said, like, look, if this is your job, this is your persona, this is your authentic self, dance, use, do that. But if it's not, don't fake it.
You're in a bar or you're in a club and you're like trying to impress a woman, like that's not going to do it.
Yeah. And that was just funny. Like, that was just one of kind of probably, 13 hours worth of information that day.
Yeah.
But
what was your biggest takeaway from that day? Because you said it was your favorite. So what?
It was by far my favorite.
If you had to like pick one or two things.
So
besides the Usher dancing.
So definitely the interventions that day were amazing. Just having, couples stand up and seeing like how you can not just fix, but make a stagnant relationship thrive. And you can see the passion change in front of them.
And quickly.
And very quickly. Like just in an instant. That's my favorite thing about Tony's style is unlike, psychiatry where you
talk about
drugs,
your feelings,
talking
like
or psychology,
once a week for an hour,
4 years or 10 years or 20 years, or taking drugs that you have to be on for the rest of your life.
Yep.
He just gets the root of the problems, and it's not doing anything, crazy magical. He's just asking the right questions. He has so much experience. He has so much compassion and love for the people, and he really genuinely wants to help, and that's why it helps. And even better, he doesn't generally go up and fix the person. He leads the questions so they can have their own breakthrough and fix themselves.
Yep. And there was the woman who, to your point about not needing to like diagnose every little thing, she started talking for like 15, 20 seconds. And he's like, so you're single and you're looking to date again? Let's get you some dates. Literally had her walk around the audience, just picking guys saying, how about him? How about him? So she picked 4 or 5 guys, brought him on stage, and then asked him to coffee. One of them was married, so obviously said no. But
what was great is Tony purposely allowed her to fail, because in the real world, guys will say, no, I don't want to go on a date with you.
Yeah, rejection.
Or I'm married, or otherwise just rejection.
Yeah.
And I think that was a huge valuable lesson for her, because she could have put it off forever, being single again after.
Kept playing the same cycle.
Yeah. And she I would say that actually sums up a big part of why Date with Destiny is so good is, or any of his events, is just it pushes you out of your comfort zone. It forces you to actually do it and not just think about it.
Yep.
Because a breakthrough, as witnessed literally hundreds of times these 6 days, happens in a moment, not in a decade or a lifetime. It's amazing seeing people's faces during their interventions, and all of a sudden in just a flash, their body changes, their facial expressions change. You see like years of baggage just fall off of them.
So for me, one thing I'll definitely take away from that is there's a phrase, get in your head and you're dead. So especially when it comes to relationships, maybe a bit more shooting from the hip and doing what comes from your gut and from your heart. Maybe that sounds cliche or cheesy, but it's true. And witnessing it for 4,500 people, it's absolutely true.
Yeah. And I know for me, relationships has been one of my really like bad points my whole life. Ever since I was a teenager and I wanted to have a girlfriend, but I had no idea how to get a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. My dad never taught me. I didn't have an older brother. Yep. I didn't have any experience in high school. So then I became socially awkward and trying way too hard. And the first advice I ever got, besides like Men's Health or something, which didn't help at all because it would give like contradicting advice every other week, was getting into the pickup artist scene and reading about, use this technique or a tactic, or use this pickup line,
like
or
negging or something,
dress this way, or do this. Yep. And it was just confusing as crap. And it only worked, at nightclubs when the other person was just as insecure as you, right, and you both weren't being authentic.
But bring that to like a real confident woman,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
It doesn't work. Like it literally, I don't regret spending the years I did in that, because it had led me to self-help. And there's a lot of things that actually were just actually self-help, but then you would do it to be able to be, more confident with women.
Right.
So, just even, like going out of your comfort zone and saying, okay, you got to ask for 10 phone numbers tonight.
Yeah.
It's not natural. It's not normal. You're never going to do that in real life. But I think those experiences of just forcing yourself to do it, as much as it made people feel awkward or made yourself feel awkward, it was growth. And ultimately, reading all those books turned me on to Tony Robbins, turned me on to Rich Dad Poor Dad, 4 Hour Work Week, and I'm a better man because of it. And I think one of the big blocks I had my whole life was actually, had the shame of having to go through that. And that's why I never talked about it, but now I realize, I'm not hurting anybody, I'm like, yes, it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I have a lot of similarities in that regard. And when it comes to, like the approach or asking out a woman, what this actually really helped me with is stop worrying so much about yourself, because everyone else is worrying about themselves as well. And actually, if you just approach a woman and you ask them out, regardless of their answer, it's still a nice thing for them to hear. Like it's a compliment one way or another. Like, I found you interesting or attractive or what have you. And I would like to take you to coffee or movie or whatever.
Yeah. And I think what I've learned from it is, as long as we are coming from a loving, authentic, genuine place, we're not like, yo, chica,
¿Qué pasa?
What's up, and like, as long as we're not doing something like that, like, it's okay to be authentic and open and vulnerable and just say, hey, do you want to have a coffee sometime? Do you want to go on a date sometime?
And it's a lot harder to not do that. I realize.
And here's the most important thing that we learned from it is, no matter what they say, it shouldn't destroy us for, because that is their reality, and what they do or say shouldn't affect us. And if it does affect us, let it affect us in the moment, and then we can just be over it. We don't have to think, back and have baggage about it for years and years, which, unfortunately a lot of, men have gotten from like really harsh rejections or, being, used or manipulated. And we've, many of us have carried that with us for years and years. And I think that's actually why so many guys got into the pickup kind of community, is because they wanted to regain that power. And then all of a sudden, you have two genders fighting against each other, and both are unhappy. And
perfect.
Yeah. And, and what Tony's really helped us, see is we are all, fighting our own battles, and the solution of it isn't, to pity,
to create false layers or cocoons around who you actually are.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to do that.
Yeah.
And it sucks to do it. So that, especially relationship day, that broke a lot of, I think, those false barriers for people, self included.
Yeah. So one of the big takeaways I got from that was, it's natural for people to want to, feel bad when something has, when someone else feels bad. Right. But often the best thing to do is just understand them, and then but don't let it affect like you. Like, here's an example. Is he did a freedom exercise.
Holy cow.
To embrace masculinity while also embracing femininity.
Yep.
And it was the most powerful thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't even want to spoil it. So let's not even say what it is, but it was the most powerful exercise I've seen in my freaking life.
I also don't want to spoil it, but I will say as a preface, if you watch the movie Braveheart, the part where he screams freedom, that's also a powerful part of the movie, and he incorporates that into this exercise. And tell you what, it will hit you if you commit to it. It's an awesome time and also very, very powerful.
It was incredible, and every single guy there.
I feel like we're honestly not trying to sell this event, but it was genuinely life-changing. So if it sounds like we're like pushing it really hard or like making it sound more than it is, not placating. This is just genuinely how I feel about it.
Yeah.
That's just what it was. Seriously.
Well, if you guys listen back to, I don't know what episode it was, but it was when I was on a cruise ship. I was there for another self-help seminar. It's called, I think, Law of Attraction, something Vortex. I don't even remember the name of it now, but my sister wanted to go on this self-help seminar cruise.
Yeah.
So I went on the cruise because I wanted to spend time with her. And I decided at the end, last minute, not to attend the seminar because I had watched some of their videos and I was like, this kind of sucks. You know, I didn't have a good feeling.
Yeah.
But then I knew it sucked because every time I talked to an attendee, they liked it. They're into it, but you can tell they weren't having breakthroughs. They weren't having transformations. They weren't like raving fans about it. They were just like, oh, it's so nice, like blah, blah, blah. And here, man,
full immersion.
It's like insane. Like it's like, honestly, I've realized it is my duty to push people towards this program.
And even if it's not this one, just push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone, whatever that is for you. But this is a great way to do it if you're looking for that.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit. Let's review it. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the parts we didn't like because I think that'd be fair.
I think that'd be helpful. I would say the meals we had in the actual event center kind of sucked. Like, I think they were super expensive and not the most filling, to say the least.
Yeah. And out of 6 days, we had 2 opportunities to actually go out and get food. So don't expect to be able to eat normal food there. But I'm
pretty sure I fasted for 3 days. I don't remember. It was a blur, but
well, here's actually what helped me a lot is without even, having him try, he had made me realize that I eat too much, and I just eat for boredom, for joy, whatever. And I kind of knew that already, but then while sitting there, I was like, I don't have time to go eat. So I had to consciously bring on what I was going to eat for the whole week.
Yeah.
So I brought packets of tuna. I brought
some oranges,
some actual broccoli with some guacamole to dip in, some nuts. And I pretty much just ate that for 6 days. And I was like, man, if I just ate this all the time, I'd be ripped.
Dude, we're supposed to talk about what was bad about the event. You
sorry.
came back to the Jeez, man.
So, just a quick lesson learned is one day I, kind of just snuck out for half an hour to get some Mexican food, came back, ate it, and then I felt so tired and so shitty afterwards. It was terrible.
Actually did the same thing with mellow mushroom.
Yeah.
I got a giant barbecue chicken pizza, had 2 slices, felt like garbage.
Okay. So
don't
expect great food for a week. That's a big sacrifice. A lot of people are like, I can't sacrifice a week. I don't want to bring my own food. But
Prepper meals, bring some protein bars, some fruits, some vegetables. You can do it.
And
water, that's the biggest thing.
I'm gonna write a whole blog post about like kind of a guide to DWD. I'm gonna show you photos of everything, all the food I brought, the quantities of everything, kind of just other like packing tips and things like that.
So, Tony meals, that's a great option too.
Yeah, so we actually ordered a farm to fork organic home delivery, and they're paleo meals.
Oh, they're good.
But unfortunately, we didn't have a microwave, so we're eating cold paleo meals, which are pretty much like a gourmet TV dinner.
Had a nice cold frittata.
Yeah, but they were good. They were really good. Yeah. Okay, so actual downsides. Tony Robbins himself is A+. Like, he is, I cannot stress it enough. He is,
when he's going,
he's A+. He's like the best speaker.
Yeah.
And this is, from someone who, likes to think I'm an okay speaker, and that, at the Nomad Summit, we put on a good event, we have good speakers.
Yep.
And I know it's different because, we talk more about, business and building location independence. But if Tony Robbins came, he would just dwarf. Like, he would just, we'd be like little ants, right? So he's A+. However, the couple other speakers, on day like
okay,
4, 5, 6.
It's tough to follow that guy.
Yeah, but I honestly don't think, you know what? You might be right. Maybe maybe compared to Tony.
Yeah.
Just, the other ones weren't that good, but the other ones were technically just sales pitches to get you to take other programs. Like one is like, Wealth Mastery, which is like a business program, a Life Mastery, which is something.
Yeah.
But
like 2-hour sales pitches. That eventually say like.
And they definitely could have added way more value to those where even knowing it's a sales pitch, you can get a lot of benefit from it.
Yeah.
But be prepared for that. Just so you guys know, is they're going to try to sell you stuff once you're there.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is, first off, it's not really hard selling. It's kind of just like, whatever, just seminar selling. And you can use that time to sleep in, go somewhere, or just meet other attendees outside, hang out. So not that big of a deal. But they definitely could have made that better. I think I'm going to write them a suggestion to.
They can still do it, but like shorten it a little bit.
Either shorten it or just give a ton of value. Like, especially with the Wealth Mastery, the business one.
Yeah. I'm
like, you could have just, went in and just delivered lots of value and said, if you want more of this value, come to this event.
Yeah.
But instead, they were kind of hard selling, making people feel like, using, their stories of, the struggles they went through to kind of make people feel, use emotions to try to get people to buy instead of just offering value. And that's why pretty much 100% of people who have seen it before at the other events, like, Unleash the Power Within, didn't sit through it again.
It was quite similar. Once I saw the pitch coming, I took a nice little break.
Yeah.
So we get rid of those like 3-hour sales pitches. What else?
I want to say get rid of the late nights, but at the same time, I don't want Tony Robbins to cut it short because often it's just him giving extra value where, I don't want him to like, oh, well, it's midnight, we have to go. So if anything, I actually would suggest we start earlier in their day.
Mm-hmm.
At like 10 instead of 10:30 or 11, whatever. Yeah. And then like really try to like condense the day and get like shorten those sales pitches, shorten the, anything that's not 100% necessary.
Yeah.
And really try to get people out of there by midnight. So even though, it can still be a long day where people need to push themselves. We can learn a lot from that experience of getting ourselves back in state no matter what. But then we can still have
the actual timeline that people can
sleep.
I would say, hang on to that, because those early mornings, or I guess the late nights, were pretty challenging. I would say more though than that this was the biggest DWD they ever did. So about 4,500 people. I think normally they do like they cap out around like 3 or so. So I thought it seemed quite congested for some of the interventions and the exercises they had. Like everyone's speaking at the same time, kind of yelling out, bumping into each other. So I would say, like for me personally, I was picturing like 3,000 at the most. So I would want it ideally to be less people.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see it. One of the benefits of Date with Destiny is that it is more intimate compared to his intro event, which is Unleash the Power Within, which is like 15,000 people. And it's basically a rock concert.
Yep.
And it would be nice if they capped it because, you're right. We want to keep that intimacy. However, I think the reason why he purposely wants us to have to yell to hear each other during the group shares. Mm-hmm. And then the reason why he keeps the music up a bit and he has everybody crowded in the same room instead of just saying, okay, you guys go to the next room, you guys go in the front.
So they feel comfortable to do it.
Is not only that, because then, they're yelling a bit so not everybody can hear them.
Yeah.
But also because it really forces you to dig deep and be like, I need to fucking be heard. I need to show up or no one's going to hear me.
Yeah. I could see that. I'd want less people.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, I think I agree. We would definitely benefit as attendees if there's slightly less people. But as far as the actual event is run, man, they've been doing this for like, how many, 20 years or something. So it's not perfect, but it's definitely the best run event, like period. Like,
yeah, so that was his 80th after I think 29 years. 80 of those things. It's
insane.
So I think I hear what you're saying. They might have a formula for what they're doing. I think that's fair.
They definitely do. And they're so meticulous that I
think that's fair.
I want to give a shout out to whoever the video guys are, who edits the videos, the sound guy, especially the music guy. He is so on point where somebody will be, just talking and they'll say a word and all of a sudden there's music based on that word they said. I'm like, how is this person finding that song, playing it at the right moment that quickly?
Yeah.
And it really adds the ambience. Like, I've never even noticed how important proper lighting is. And what really tied it all together, what really made me realize how cool it was is not only the 6 days did we kind of feel like we were part of being on Oprah Live or the show live, because they were cameras showing not only Tony Robbins and him talking, but also shots of the audience. So then you feel like it's more interactive. But what they did was on the last night, they showed a short, 20-minute recap of the entire 6 days.
Yep.
And it was beautifully made. And I'm like, when the fuck did these guys have the time to edit this? Because they've been here for 15 hours a day.
Yeah, they literally stayed up. They did not sleep a couple nights just to do that video.
And the video was incredible. It was so well made that I fucking wish that they sold that. I would have bought it. If he sold it for, $150 a DVD or something, I would have bought it easily. And
probably at least 1,000 plus would have also they could easily sell that. They show some of the interventions I think we talked about earlier, so they, for that reason, probably can't do it yet. But it would be very helpful as a recap and to revisit.
Yeah, definitely for us. But I guess I wonder if now if we watch I'm Not Your Guru again, we'll understand it even more, what he's actually doing, and
I think it would be different.
Yeah. So luckily that's out there. I'm really happy it is. So I know I asked you this at the beginning, but was it worth it?
Hell yeah. Without going into it too much, hell yeah. So many things I did not actually expect to take from it. The values exercise clarified a lot of shit for me about what I actually put first as opposed to what should be first. Just in regards to what I should prioritize.
Yeah, I was the same thing. A lot of it is actually, self-help techniques that you may have heard in other places. I'm sure you can read it in some books. Maybe you can find something online. But I think that the big difference between doing that by yourself on a laptop or something and being there is it's it's the whole atmosphere.
And you commit to it. You have to commit to it. You have people around you holding you accountable to another level, and one of I think Tony's biggest things is embodying it physiologically as well as verbally and emotionally, and not just intellectually. So he literally talks about those 3 levels of mastery, and then he has you just embody literally all of those together, and then he has other people who make you step it up even further, your peers and people that support you.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's tough to emulate that or duplicate it.
Yeah, I would say the biggest benefit is just being there, being surrounded by 5,000 other people who fucking are that hungry, that want to change, that want to be good. And they're amazing people. So shout out to everyone who went to Date with Destiny, especially if I met you.
Yeah.
You guys are incredible.
A lot of love and passion in that room.
Yeah. And if we can reach enough people, this is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to do this and try to get as many people to go, is I believe 100% with all my heart that if everyone in the world went to this event, the world would be a better place.
If everyone in the world went to that event, half of the challenges that we currently see would be gone within 6 days.
Yeah. And I'm going to really try to become a better person, just from this event. And I realized that even though my primary, thing I want in life is, to be loved, a lot of people do, but also to give my love and to connect with people.
Yeah.
It's also that need to do it has also fucked me up a lot, and now that I know, I can understand when I'm fucking up at least, but also, understand other people when they're being, assholes, and just be okay, they are probably,
and I've only known you for 6 days, but I've seen just a serious change in you within 6 days.
Really?
Even the way, when we wake up in the mornings, you just, I say day 3, ripped out of bed, ripped open the curtains like, all right, let's go.
Let's
Day
go,
3.
buddy. Let's do it.
So, I mean, I have known you very little, but already see an impact. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. And you as well. I like, you were like much more open and just.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And I mean, but the real test is for us to bring this into the real world, you know? And luckily I actually already had a couple like challenges already, you know? I was like, all right, how am I going to react to this when this happens?
Yep.
You know? And now at least I understand. I'm like, okay, when people get angry and arguing on social media, you know, on Facebook, on Reddit, you know, and they're hating on people, why are they doing it? You know, and I used to think it was because they were just assholes or they were like, you know, or they were just mistaken.
Yeah, where's it coming from?
And I realized, you know what? A lot of it is the need for significance. Where, you know, they're like the heckler in a comedy store, you know, where they're not important because they're just sitting there. They're just someone in the audience and
they need the attention.
Yeah. You know, whether it's negative or positive.
Yeah.
And what I also learned is so
it's coming from a place of pain, honestly.
Yeah, it really is.
Or loneliness, which is sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
And then you feel bad for them, and then it kind of gets rid of the anger, which is awesome for you, and then you move past it.
Yeah. And I used to think that the solution was to, you know, fight back or correct them.
Right.
You know, because 99.99% of what they say is just fucking incorrect.
Repeating, of course.
And, you know, they're just like regurgitating, you know, some other half truth that they read somewhere else or some other YouTube commenter or something. And I used to just, you know, either just ignore them or I used to, you know, get in these arguments with them and try to like please them, you know? And I think with honest people, like, you know, I was like, I got over it. You know, I don't know these people, they don't know me. But then when it was like people I knew in person and like, it didn't have to be, you know, someone close by, someone I met, you know, and they would get a huge, you know, heated debate over like politics or, the gender war or, you know, I don't know, whatever just it was.
Very polarizing things. Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this like world like this? And I would try to use logic to try to, you know, explain situations or try to fix things or try to like find answers. And now I realize that the only thing I can do is just give them love, you know, and find a way to just show them love and show them that I care and not let their, like, you know, their negativity affect me.
Yeah. And again, maybe that sounds kumbaya or cliche, what have you. At the end of the day, though, it is 100% valid. And it doesn't necessarily mean you reach out, say like send them a heart emoji. It just means you see them for the pain that they're actually experiencing and you empathize with it.
Well, I'm going to give an example.
Yeah.
So this actually happened like yesterday at the event and it was good because I got to test it. I was in the courtyard talking to people and I met this guy. I was like, oh, you know, what do you do for work?
Yeah.
And he was like really proud. He's like, yeah, I run one of the biggest network marketing, you know, firms. And I got so fucking annoyed.
Seeking validation there.
Yeah. And especially because I've had like personal friends get really burned, you know, wasting their money, join some bullshit, you know, MLM, multi-level marketing, you know, kind of thing. And I was like trying to, you know, explain to him like why I hate it, you know, why he should stop, you know? And
he didn't like that.
And I was being very logical, you know, I was like explaining it in a really, really pragmatic way, you know, saying like the problem with network marketing isn't that people aren't making money. It's that they're making money built on a product that doesn't even need to be good because people aren't making money from the product.
Yep.
People are making money just from getting other people. And then everyone's doing good until they're not. And it collapses. And that was actually one of the things, like somebody had mentioned that their network marketing company collapsed, which means everybody who had put money into it lost everything. And I was so like annoyed and angry at him. I was trying to like argue with him and I found myself getting angry and frustrated and like enraged. And I was like, calm the fuck down. How can I give this person love? I'm like, what the fuck's that mean? I was like, I don't fucking love this guy. Right. But then I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I say? And I said to him, hey, look, I don't think we're gonna, this argument is gonna help either of us. You know, I just want you to know, like, you know, I only bring it up because it affects people I love and I care about. And I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
But promise me, one thing is, as long as you genuinely believe you're doing good, keep doing it.
Yeah.
But if one day comes where you feel like you're actually hurting people or doing more than, more bad than good, please stop.
Yeah.
And
it's a kick-ass question, man. The fact that you asked it in the moment,
to
have the acuity to do that in the moment, that's growth.
Yeah.
I see it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. And it instantly changed everything. And then I felt good. He felt good. But now I have this seed plan in his mind where if one day he, and I don't even know what company he's with or what he sells.
Maybe it's bullshit. Who knows?
And then I had the exact same conversation, same kind of heated argument with a vegan, and we were talking about, and so then I was like, okay, how can I, instead of arguing or using logic and saying like, well, actually, saturated fats have been, proven not to have any, any correlation, saturated fats and food have not have any correlation with heart disease now, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to help anyone. Right. So now I'm like, okay, if I'm arguing with someone and I only say it because I care. I want people to find, some real health, and I realized all I can do is say, you know what? I'm very happy for you that you found something that has worked for you.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the vegan diet is way better than a standard American diet. Like if you're eating, burgers and fries and, Pop-Tarts, and canned spaghetti, it's fucking terrible. Right. So.
Damn it. My morning brunch, my breakfast is ruined.
It's ruined. Right. Well,
just kidding.
Now, I can say to them like, hey, I'm really glad that you found something that, is helping you, but I care about you. I love you. And so if any time in the future it's no longer working for you, please just be open-minded to explore other options. And that's it. Nobody's going to get mad at each other. Nobody's arguing. And even if they do get mad for whatever reason, that has nothing to do with me now because I showed love and that's all I can do.
Yeah. And to that, Tony mentioned something during the event where he said, you can't actually help someone or change them if you are judging them. And I think that's true in like family and friends and business relationships at work. I know I'm definitely going to change a couple of things at my current job, just the way I approach coworkers and, my boss, to come at it from a place of not judging and assuming the best intent. That changes the game, I think, for you for me, and for anyone else who wants to actually build genuine connection with people and then help each other improve.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So I guess that's really about it. It's been a nice wrap up. Check out the blog post on johnnyfd.com for a kind of more of a in-depth recap, some photos, maybe a video actually of the event. I'll talk more about it there. And, it's been nice knowing you, Michael.
It's been great meeting you, man. And thank you for inviting me on the podcast. This has been a phenomenal journey and seriously grateful to go through this with you.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
You as well, man. I'm and everyone else listening to this, if if you were there, if you've been to one, give me a shout out, comment on this podcast episode or on Facebook or, wherever, and let me know, which event you went to. I would say my advice to people is if you want kind of an intro where it's not as deep, but it's kind of just getting you out of your comfort zone and for fun, go to one of the Unleash the Power Within events first. But if you're ready to kind of just dive in deep, especially if you watched I'm Not Your Guru and it's something that seems like, that inspires you, it's worth it. If you can't afford to go because it's $5,000, make that a goal.
They have payment plans too, by the way.
Yeah. I in general, I don't recommend people put it on like a credit card or something when they can't afford. This podcast is kind of about, building, debt-free location independence, but it's worth going to. So make it fucking happen, just make it fucking happen. Like,
if you want to improve something, step up, and this is a great place to do it.
Yeah. And the reason why I want people to go is because I think a lot of the hurt and pain and anger, that we experience in the world right now, which I thought was, really just in the US, because that's what I see, right? Everybody is on one side or the other, extreme left, extreme right, extreme this, extreme that. extreme hate, extreme love, extreme whatever.
Across the globe.
Yeah, probably not extreme love, but probably just extreme hate. And some people might even, have been upset when they heard us even use the words masculine and feminine, and all these things are taboo now, and everyone's like, just angry, and a lot of it stems within ourselves first. So if we can make ourselves the best versions of ourselves, if we can let go of the pain of the past, not saying it was, not for a second saying that any of us deserved any bad things that have happened to us in the past, but
don't let it define you.
Yeah. And
move
most importantly, don't let it affect other people's happiness or your relationships or other people, in the future. So this is the best investment you can make if your life isn't where you want to be emotionally. It's not going to, unfortunately, it's not necessarily going to make you more money. There's no like quick ROI. Maybe, eventually just being, having better goals and being more driven, that might give you the return on investment. But investing in yourself, being happier, healthier, more loving, having less stress, to me is
lifetime ROI.
A lifetime ROI. I 100% agree with that. Yeah. So I guess that's about it. This episode was not sponsored by Tony Robbins. As of right now, I don't even know if they have a referral program. If they do, you can use my link for whatever it'll give you. I don't even know what that is, but I just genuinely, honestly wanted to take the time to share this and encourage you guys to at least watch the movie. It's on Netflix. And if it inspires you, set it as a goal to go next year. It's called Date with Destiny. And I don't make huge recommendations for that many things, but this is one of them.
I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. Yeah. And thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Are you on like Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn or anything?
From being completely honest, social media game right now. Honestly, not a lot going on, but just a nice Date with Destiny attendee.
Okay, very cool, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate you being my roommate, and it's been fun. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why I sound like Barry White,
I was just thinking about that. We both sound like we're
like dying. It's been 6 days at a rock concert, like
screaming and.
Yeah, but it was fucking worth it. So thanks, guys. If you know of anyone who would enjoy the show, please share this with a friend, send it to them on email or, on social media, give them a link to it, post in a group, whatever you want to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I will see you guys all next week.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.